Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the DIP Energy launch here at drupa 2012. Today we are focusing the topic green printing, one of the big trends at this show. Our guests are Matthew Littler from ILFORD. He's product marketing manager. And Scott Newell, he is from FlexoCleaner and he's responsible for international sales. Welcome. My name is Knut Wassermann. I'm editor-in-chief of Grafische Revue.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
Great to have you here.
Yes, thank you very much.
Indeed. Before we start with our discussion about green printing, Scott, could you give us a background about your company, what FlexoCleaner is doing?
Sure. FlexoCleaner is a chemical manufacturer from Bellport, New York, which is in Long Island, just outside New York City.
Nice place.
If you've been there, yeah, it's a nice place, very nice place. We manufacture a chemical that has the lowest VOCs, the lowest pH levels of any cleaner on the market today. It's completely biodegradable and will go into the earth in 28 days.
Okay.
Okay? Not harmful to your skin, doesn't have an odor. There's a lot of people are making chemicals to clean the analox rollers in Flexo. They're making them out of their own warehouses, and you don't know what they're using, and the workers can cause irritation to their skin, bad for their eyes. Our chemical is truly clean and safe.
And why are you focused so much on Flexo?
Because the analox rollers are that roller, keeping the upkeep on it, it needs to be cleaned, all right? And it's a process. If you go back and watch the press guys that are cleaning them up, it's a dirty job.
Okay. Matthew, talking about ILFORD, I mean, in the good old times when I still had my, a Nikon analog camera, I loved the ILFORD black and white material. It was a great material, but analog photography is gone. What is ILFORD doing now?
So, as you rightly pointed out, ILFORD's been around quite some time. In fact, since 1879, which is a couple of years now. But it might surprise you to learn that actually, in fact, since 1995, ILFORD's been deeply involved in the development of inks, dyes, and inkjet papers for a variety of different markets. And in fact, what we do is we leverage our knowledge and competencies from the previous photographic processes to produce really high quality and cost efficient items.
So your core knowledge is still the same, coating?
Absolutely, yes. We coat up to 8 layers simultaneously, which is an industry leading figure. We still have the same R&D facility with 40 research scientists, which is not bad for a company of our size.
Okay.
And we're still developing innovative solutions. Being a relatively small company, we can move quite quickly.
Well, as already mentioned, green printing is one of the big topics here at drupa. How green can print become?
Well, that's a very good question because it's got multiple different sides to it, of course. You've got the print process itself, you have the substrates, you have the actual printing mechanisms themselves as well, and disposal. And in the end, of course, all processes like this have some form of environmental impact. So what we try and do is just help a little bit reduce the environmental impacts of parts where we can affect. So, for example, when we're producing the substrates, we have low water usage, low energy usage. We source the energy that we can sustainably, mostly from hydroelectric, because obviously we have a lot of mountains and lakes in Switzerland. And we've taken a holistic approach to this now. So we're looking at the substrates. Something that we're pushing quite strongly at this show is the biomedia range, for example, which is both biodegradable and recyclable. And of course, in countries where it's appropriate, it's actually incineratable as well.
Scott, why have you chosen drupa Innovation Park to show your product?
Well, drupa was a decision to help us to branch out. Our story is we've been in the business for about 20 years, cleaning the Analox rollers in flexo printers in the New York area. And we have only a couple of international companies. We have just been acquired by another company, and we are out marketing for international business globally.
So Flexo
So,
Cleaner goes
Drupa
international.
only having a show every 4 years. We looked at this; it was new to us because I hadn't been in this industry, and it was like every 4 years, it's got to be a great place to go and network and meet people all over the globe.
Okay.
And it definitely has been that. I'm not plugging it, but it's definitely been that.
Okay. And well, I imagine that it's for a chemistry supplier, it's quite difficult to go international with its products.
Right. You make a valid point there. Shipping chemical is difficult, okay? Especially the chemical in the volume that you have to ship it. So what we are here working is getting relationships to network and do OEM and private label for companies.
Okay.
So that we do the formulations, put their brand on it. There is other steps that we might be able to partnership with these companies as we build these relationships and do the formulations in their country so that we do not have to deal with the shipping.
Okay.
We take one step at a time.
Matthew, coming back to print in general, I got the impression that people think print is somehow dirty. Are other medias really greener than print?
Well, it's a very that's quite an interesting question. I think that to some extent the jury is still out on that. There's been a number of studies saying about one way that actually having an electronic media is more environmentally responsible, and other reports saying that actually by the time you've had server time, you've got all sorts of internet traffic going on, development time, then actually it swings and roundabouts. And it depends also on, in fact, how long the print media is used for. Okay. Because, of course, serving electronic information time and time again eventually adds up cumulatively.
Okay. So far, what are the biggest challenges for you as a customer to bring up sustainable products to the market?
Yeah, I'm talking to print service providers and brand owners. I think one of the biggest challenges for them on a practical level is actually knowing where to go and what to do, because there are so many different standards, so many different labels out there. They're not really entirely sure what's right, what's good for them and what's not. And to that end, I think the work that's being done at the moment is actually really important. Things like the ISO standard for the carbon footprint calculation, for example, that really helps to try and put a stake in the ground and understand the carbon footprint. Okay. So that's, I think, the draft of ISO 16759. But also work that people like ESMA are doing to try and to bring together one label to try and
But you agree there are too many labels outside?
Oh, totally. It's very confusing.
Okay. How is that in the US? Is it the same, that there are so many different labels that the consumer, or green labels, let's put it that way, that the consumer is confused?
I don't think the consumer is confused. I mean, the green label that's out there on many products, you know that they got that label. You sometimes wonder if it's legit.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and I guess that's the crux of it. They don't know which ones are and which ones are not.
Right, correct.
There is one point to develop a green product, but another point is to produce it. How green is your own production in concerning carbon footprint, water footprint, and stuff like that?
I'm going to pass that on to you.
Okay, so going back to what I was saying before about ILFORD as a company, actually since long before this was fashionable, we have a very environmentally conscious, both a set of production technologists and our research and development scientists. So we've reduced our water footprint. We are a reference site, in fact, for the Swiss government on the treatment of nanoparticles, which, if you're making nanoporous layers,
I heard something about nano at this show.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Does that come out somewhere else?
Yeah.
And of course, trying to source locally and have no air freight ship policies, stuff like that, just to really try and reduce the impact is always the best thing to do.
So, can we expect a nano media from ILFORD?
Well, we've been making nanoporous media for a very long time,
Okay.
but I think watch this space for future developments.
Okay. You said it. You mentioned it already. But could you go a little bit deeper? What is unique about the Flexo Cleaner? You started to point out some features.
Yeah, it is truly the only safe chemical to clean analogs rollers in our industry. Period. We go to the ground, biodegradable in 28 days, and we use the lowest VOCs and the lowest pH levels of any other chemical cleaner out there. So we're pretty unique in that. And there's no one like that, so that's pretty unique.
Okay.
Actually, I'd just like to add to the kind of the green and so reducing the environmental footprint just for a second. If we think about the waste disposal stream, of course, and raised a very valid point there about biodegrading in 28 days or less. When you think about the impact that our industry as a whole has, PVCs, for example, when they're used as a print substrate, they biodegrade in around between 500 and 2,000 years, depending on the thickness.
Okay.
So, maybe in 500 years' time, there's going to be archaeologists looking to see what we were doing and trying to understand our signage. But obviously, on a practical note, for the environment, that's not very good. So, if you can make media that biodegrades more quickly, that has a strong benefit to the environment.
Okay. You came with biomedia to drupa.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Could you explain a little bit this new approach of product?
Yeah, sure. So we have the different flavors. We have the roll products, which are either for UV printers or actually we have a universal layer for inkjet. So whether it be eco-solvent, solvent, latex, or aqueous dye or pigment. And then we have the boards and laminates. And these are all biodegradable in around about 500 days or less. So not quite as fast as the 28 days, but certainly better than 500 years.
Okay.
And of course, that biodegradability is only one answer in one particular part of the world, because if we go back to the whole sort of confusion and multiple different standards topic, if you go to Germany, for example, there's no landfill here. It's all either recycling or other waste disposal streams. UK, US, landfill's your big waste stream. That's the majority of products. Switzerland, they burn everything.
Oh yeah, that's
which
right.
you wouldn't. Okay, they'll hate me for saying that, but actually it's incineration and energy generation from that. And of course, producing media, you have to have something that ticks all the boxes to be responsible and safe in all of those particular types of situations.
But from a perspective as printer, wouldn't it be the easiest to say, well, 80% of the carbon footprint comes from paper, so the paper industry should take care about the green issue, and we are fine and done?
We should ban paper and substrates? No, that's actually quite a fair point, in as much as I think the paper and substrate industry should be doing as much as it can to reduce the impact that it has, both in terms of production, shipping, etc., etc. But of course, let's not forget the actual production of the articles that go into the print to make a printer, and let's not forget the disposal as well, because that's a very defined focus. When you look at the 80% of the carbon footprint, that's about actually comparing the energy taken to print compared with the energy taken to produce the paper.
There are some paper manufacturers out there. They are, for instance, offering carbon neutral paper. Are you offering media
I see
that way as well?
I think that's a bit of smoke and mirrors, actually. So offsetting, no, it's true. Yeah. Offsetting is only ever a band-aid, right? So you could have the dirtiest, nastiest, highest carbon process in the world, and then if you pay some money to offset it, then you can feel good and say, hey, I'm green. It's not always the best way about it. We really should be looking to reduce, reuse, recycle. That's the mantra, not offset.
And maybe the rest.
Yeah,
when there is
exactly.
something left,
You go as
could
far as you
offset.
can with the Holy Trinity, the 3 R's, and then you offset.
Okay, but offsetting could mean also that that there is not so much pressure on it to improve the processes.
Yeah, no, because you're still using the carbon.
Yeah.
It's still got to come from somewhere.
Okay.
And just because somebody else somewhere in the world's being paid not to use it.
Okay.
I just spent about a month ago. I was in a network with corrugators.
Okay.
With whom?
With corrugators. It was in Arizona, and I was hanging around with guys that have these big plants that are making cardboard boxes, packing plants, and they basically think that they're green because they're part of, they got the paper's green, it's going away. I just thought it was very interesting that how you said no way, and so you got a double standard out there of what's really happening and who's really pushing forward, which your company obviously is pushing forward. Which
Absolutely, you have to take into account the whole life cycle and the whole whole holistic approach rather than just very defined small bits of scope.
Right.
Could you take the mic, please?
Sorry about that.
No problem.
As I was saying, you have to take a holistic approach so that the whole product life cycle, the way it's used, the way it's disposed, not just a defined little scope, because that's not the whole truth.
Drupa, 2012, has it met your expectations so far?
Absolutely. Yeah. We were scared, okay, because
Really?
we're a small company. We're small
Why should
company.
you be scared coming to Düsseldorf?
Yeah.
You might get lost between halls 11 and 23 or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely met our expectations driving forward. I already was down at the hall because I'm a show guy. I do a lot of shows. Finding out how I signed up for the next one, and they said, whoa, you don't need to do that yet because it's every 4 years. That's kind of new. It's like, unfortunately. And I think that every 4 years must make it all the better because it brings quality prospecting and quality networking.
So we can expect a good show next Drupa from Flexo Cleaners as well.
Flexo Cleaners will be here.
Okay, great.
Just make sure you book your hotel room quickly. Yes. No, from ILFORD's point of view, we blew our budget on the first day.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Great.
So it's been a very successful Drupa.
Okay.
And I think actually being in the Drupa Innovation Park has done us a lot of good because here is where all the innovators are, which is where actually ILFORD rightfully belongs.
Okay. We've been deciding whether or not we would be in the innovations again the next time around, or if we were with the Flexo group. I think they're in building 12. There's a lot of Flexo printers and machines. So I'm sure Sandra from the Drupa will help me out when that has to come again.
Okay. And what products can we expect next from both of your companies?
I was going to bring. We are manufacturing brushes. We have a new line that's called Crescent. It's a Crescent brush that fits right around the Analox roller. Great response from all the people that stop by and see the brushes. We do it with stainless steel and brass.
Okay.
So
there are also innovations by products you wouldn't expect.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
brushes.
Right. Like brushes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've actually got a whole raft coming in the next for our autumn collection and in the first quarter next year. You can expect to see all sorts of leveraging of our universal layer into substrates that it's not currently on.
Okay.
And our scientists are currently very busy. They're not going to have any summer holidays.
Okay. Good. Gentlemen, it was nice to have you here. Have a good show in the last week. And
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
thank you.
Thank you very much.